Hi, I'm Craig Lounsbrough. I want to welcome you to Life Talk. Thanks for joining us today. We appreciate it. I want to read something to you. I want to read an article that I wrote several years ago. It's about Christmas, but it's also about how we live our lives in ways that maybe we shouldn't. It reads this way. As the snow began to quietly debut winter's arrival, I made my yearly descent to the basement. Rummaging through the backwaters of the misty root cellar, I spied the dusty stack of aged boxes with the word Christmas hastily scrawled across their cardboard sides. Inside of them lay the wonder of Christmas, embodied in carefully crafted decorations and precious mementos of all sizes and sorts and types. Staring at the boxes, I suddenly found myself engulfed by the horrifying fact that we spend much of our lives boxing up wonder. Indeed, we put things in boxes. The function of a box is to provide a set of distinct parameters designed to effectively contain whatever needs containing. A box imposes restrictions. It sets a limit as to how far something can go. Things are assigned a defined space where they are on hold, typically because we have no use for them in the active part of our daily existence. Therefore, they're stored away until our existence grants them whatever tiny bit of space they're granted for however long our existence grants it. We put things in boxes. But the majority of our boxes are not made up of cardboard, or plastic, or metal, or any other such rudimentary substances. Our boxes are not those things stored in the shadowy corners of our damp basements, or shoved into the tight confines of our suffocating attics, or crammed into the 5x10 of some self-storage unit on the other side of town. These do not represent the vast majority of our boxes at all. The majority of our boxes won't be found in basements, or attics, or some self-storage facility. They are, in fact, within us, deep within us, and we've made them. We've tediously constructed them to protect ourselves from painful histories, or shut down truths that don't sit well with us, or eliminate the people in our lives who we find distasteful. We build them to shield ourselves from ourselves in whatever way that we feel that we need to do that. We build them keep ourselves from the guilt of doing or being what we shouldn't be doing or being. We build boxes so that we contain those things that we would otherwise be running from. Or we build them to give us a ready excuse not to run to the things that maybe we should be running to. We put things in boxes. Some boxes might make sense, but why, I wonder, do we put great things in boxes? Powerful things, things that can handily rescue us from the tangled messes that we make with such tedious perfection. Why do we box up that which can heal our deepest wounds, wrestle our worst addictions into submission, grant us a sustainable hope that will stand against the most sustained darkness of a world gone dark? What in the world would behoove us to box up the very things that can handily rein in all of the destructive things that we've cut loose that are constantly cutting us up? What sort of insanity compels us to box up the very things that we spend the entirety of our lives searching for? Well, we're a stubborn bunch of people, but that's the message of Christmas that's tough to swallow. And that's the very thing that prompted the delivery of that message, that we are stubborn to our own demise, that we would be the death of us unless God was willing to come and give life to us, that the enemy is not necessarily something that's prowling around in the shifting shadows that constantly circle us in some stealthy manner, rather that we are the enemy, and that it is from ourselves that we need to be saved. That's the message embodied in the boxes tucked away in the musty confines of the root cellar with the word Christmas errantly scrawled across them. That is the intent of Christmas, that God decided to initiate the greatest rescue mission in all of human history at the greatest cost that any mission would ever demand of anyone: the death of God's own Son. Despite the sour, negative rhetoric of our times and the efforts of so many to massage us into complacency and ignorance, it is the message of rescue that we as a culture have placed, pressed, and imprisoned in boxes built by self-serving philosophies, special interest groups gone rogue, and platforms born of greed and power. This is the message that we find so aversive and chafing. It is our single salvation, but we box it up anyway. It is the only light in the darkness that we have foolishly come to call light. It's the only thing big enough to be able to course the turbulent seas of our times and throw us the lifeline that we refuse as we wait for other promised lifelines that never come. This is what we box up. And such an act of ignorance of the greatest sort that will certainly ensure the death of the most painful sort. We must take Christmas out of the cultural boxes into which we have thoughtlessly crammed it. We must free it of the confines of our stupidity. We must release it from the filthy hands of our greed and that shaped each box, and it must be freed of the bane of special interests that attempt to seal those boxes tight. And once we've done all of that, we must burn every box to ash and cinders. Yet the oddity of it all is that we really can't keep Christmas in a box anyway. We might ignorantly presume such power, but it's only an assumption and nothing more. Despite our most robust efforts to ignore it, deny it, render it a fairy tale, play it off as the invention of misty-eyed dreamers, and press it far off the pages of a blind culture, Christmas remains what it is. It will forever remain the only rescue mission that set out with enough power to actually rescue us. No matter the propaganda and hype that we grant them, all other missions will fail miserably. And I would hate to meet my own death realizing that I was ignorant enough to box up the only thing that could have saved me. When Christmas is concluded, and the celebrations have stilled, and when the songs have fallen silent, and the parties have ceased, leave Christmas out of the box that you can't put it in anyway. Let it be what nothing else can be. Let it rescue you, your family, your children, your marriage, your community, and your world. And I don't believe that any of us want to put anything in any box that has the power to do that. Thanks for joining me today. Here's wishing you a truly Merry Christmas. Hope is a terribly dangerous thing. For what if that which we so passionately hope for never comes to pass? What if the healing never comes? The relationship is never restored. The dreams can't be revived, and the horror of the inevitable remains horribly inevitable. These things I pondered. And yet standing in the forest, forced silent by the bitter hand of winter, I was reminded that spring is never deterred, despite how bitter winter's hand might be. For it is not the hope of spring, rather it is the fact of spring. And therefore we must remember that hope is a fact, despite how bitter the hand of life.